Now here's what the problem is with typical lubricants. If the water is still down next to the metal, your lubricant is going to form a protective covering on top of the water and trap the water against the metal. Hi, my name is Jim Green and I'm a gunsmith. The name of my shop is Downey's Gun Works in Millbridge, Maine. Today I'd like to talk to you about some QMaxx oil products for guns. What I'd like to show you today is black powder revolvers and how QMaxx is awesome on this stuff. So let's start with a typical Colt reproduction model. This is one of the holsters that I make here in my shop. And what we have here is a reproduction black powder 1860 Army made by Uberti. Shooting black powder is generally pretty darn messy. Used to be that I ended up having to boil a pot of water and use hot boiling water to flush all the priming compounds and all the leftover residue of the black powder itself out. And if you don't do that, if you shoot one of these guns and you just wipe it down a little bit and put it away, it's asking for trouble because black powder residue is hygroscopic. So are the priming compounds used in the percussion caps. What that basically means is if there's any humidity or moisture in the air, it's going to draw it out like a sponge, and it's going to cause your firearm to rust really bad. Now what I've noticed with QMaxx BLU is what I like to use on my revolvers. QMaxx is actually a true water displacing oil. This stuff is so awesome, they actually patented the technology for it. Now let me show you what I'm talking about here real quick. Now, if you'll notice this little container right here, I put some QMaxx oil in this, and you'll see that the QMaxx is actually heavier than water, which is unusual for an oil. The oil itself is settled down to the bottom and actually push the water away. Here, let's shake it up a little bit and I'll show you. You see it all shaking up really nice? There we go. Now look at all your QMaxx settling to the bottom and gently pushing the water to the top. Here's your typical average lubricant. This actually happens to be WD-40. I used to use WD-40 religiously like so many other people over the years. But if you'll notice, it's lighter than water. The water's on the bottom, the oil's on the top. Your QMaxx is going to actually penetrate down to the metal, push the water away. Like I said, this is patented technology here. This stuff is awesome. Now, what does this mean for you as a black powder shooter? Really simple. The metal itself has a very light negative charge by nature. The QMaxx has been formulated to have a very light positive charge. So not only does it penetrate down and push the water away, but because of the natural electrical charges, it actually bonds with the metal and forms a protective coating on it. Dirt does not stick to it. You cannot get dirt to stick to it. If dirt won't stick to it, neither does the powder fouling and the carbon from the unburnt gunpowder. If you know anything about shooting black powder firearms, almost 50% of your residue is going to be unburnt powder. You're going to have that much residue sticking to the metal and it's going to foul it. Well, I've noticed when I'm shooting and the more I use the QMaxx oils on my black powder firearms, the less tendency it has to clog up and make the revolver bind when you're shooting it. All I end up doing is pulling the barrel wedge. Now I like to cheat a little bit and use the loading lever to help pull the gun apart. So what we'll do is pull down on the loading rammer, pull the barrel off, set that off to the side, give it a little cock, and slide the cylinder right off. Now, I have noticed in the past with some of my black powder firearms, if I clean them and clean them and clean them and clean them, then put oil on them, there's still just a tiny amount of residue still left. You know, you think about it. You want something that's going to protect it from moisture, humidity, and water, but by the same token, you have to use water to clean all the residue off. Kind of sounds a little counterintuitive, doesn't it? Well, the reason you use boiling water is the heat dries the water up faster, but the water itself flushes all the compounds away that cause rust. Well, thanks to QMaxx BLU, I don't have to use water on my firearms anymore. So let's give this a quick little brushing down here. Now, what I do like to do, and I don't not have the time in the video, is take all these cones or nipples off the back of the revolver cylinder and clean down in there with Q-tips using QMaxx. But since I hadn't fired this today, for the sake of time, we're just going to go ahead and spray down inside. Spray all along the back. Now, how clean is this? All right, let's take a look here. I got a brand new clean rag. I mean, you see how clean this thing is. Even after sitting all this time, since the last time I cleaned it, just barely getting a few traces of oil. There's no soot. There's no crud. I'll also pull a bore snake through it, soaked in QMaxx, and make sure that's all clean. Now you're thinking, all right, you know what? Why are you not taking the gun completely apart and cleaning all the inside? Well, I'll tell you why. QMaxx products penetrates down into the metal and displaces all the water, but it also displaces all the carbon fouling. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take a Q-tip. I'm going to show you how clean this is. You're probably going to see just the tiniest amount of any kind of residue in here. So let's clean around the ring with a Q-tip right here. I am scrubbing right down inside that shield where the ring is. Not a whole lot of fouling of any kind. Now we've got the clean end, the dry end. Let's run that down in there and take a look. Where's your carbon fouling? I mean, I'm scrubbing so hard you can hear it squeak. Where's your carbon fouling? This is how awesome QMaxx BLU works on black powder revolvers. Pay attention, all you cowboy action shooters, now I'm telling you. Here, in fact, let's try one more. Watch this. Clean Q-tip. I just sprayed the QMaxx in there. Didn't even remove the cones, the little nipples where the percussion caps goes. So let's just randomly pick a cylinder, or a chamber in the cylinder, and scrub all the way down to the bottom. Where's your carbon fouling at? But I mean, this revolver was not cleaned with boiling water. One place that's really notorious for carbon fouling on these black powder revolvers, this little channel here where the hammer goes up in place. So, here, watch this. Brand new clean Q-tip. Where's your carbon fouling? This is why I say QMaxx BLU is awesome on your black powder revolvers. For you guys who are cowboy action shooters, or you guys who are like me that actually hunt with your black powder revolvers and you shoot them quite often, this is the way to go. I don't have to break this firearm completely down to clean the insides like I used to. I still do it every once in a while to make sure I don't have any corrosion inside here. But with the QMaxx BLU, I've noticed I'm not having this problem anymore. It's actually easier to clean my black powder percussion revolvers now. It's actually easier to clean my flintlocks now. I'm telling you, if you haven't switched to using the QMaxx line of products on your black powder revolvers or your flintlocks or other percussion hunting weapons, I'm going to tell you right now, I think you're making a mistake. Clean your firearm like you normally do originally with the boiling water. Get all your residue, all of your other oils off. If you need to, use a little acetone to strip all the old oil off. But once you switch to this stuff here, the QMaxx BLU, you're never going to go wrong again. You're going to see over time how quickly it is to clean these guns up and how this stuff lubricates and protects against any corrosion.
QMaxx patented water displacement technology pushes water away from surfaces, then bonds with metal atoms to create a durable barrier against rust and corrosion.